Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Whelps To Wyrms by Lamplight Games.
Whelps To Wyrms is a game that actually was in existence a few years back, 2017, but unfortunately it never made it out. It got stuck up in production and was never fulfilled from its original Kickstarter. And now Lamplight Games has taken over the process and they are carrying out the fulfillment for the original Kickstarter, and they are just determined to get this game out to not only the people who originally backed it, but also new people that are joining in on this game. And this is a game in which you are going to be playing as a dragon. And we've been on a bit of a dragon kick here, Sam and I, after watching House of Dragons. But this is a game where you are going to be moving your little tiny whelp of a dragon and hopefully growing it to a worm, which I think is an interesting word for a huge dragon. But anyway, and you are going to be exploring the countryside and eating peasants and destroying everything that you can destroy, as a dragon probably would. Let's check out how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, here's Whelps To Wyrms on the table from Lamplight Games. Let me show you guys how this dragon board game is going to work. In it, you are going to have lots of components, mostly tiles and cards, but you are going to have some standees of different dragons, standees of different slayers that are going to be trying to attack you. You will have my favorite component in the game, lots of animeeples with sheep and cows, but you have also regular meeples that you are going to be eating throughout the course of the game, as you are a dragon, and you do have player boards in this game. And there's one player board for each player color in it, and the player boards are going to be mostly the same. However, they are going to have some asymmetry with the different skills that you can unlock throughout the course of the game, and I'll leave you all to discover what those skills do for you. But just know that they are slightly different, and some are a little more complex than others to play as. We'll look at the blue dragon here as we go over this rules overview portion of the video. So, how a game is going to work, you are going to have some tiles out here already at the beginning of the game, but not as many as what you see here. This is what a game might look like midway through the game, because you are going to be exploring the land, putting out new tiles, searching those tiles and putting cards on top of the tiles, and eating things and trying not to get killed by the slayers, and the other dragons for that matter. So, how a round is going to work, the first thing that will happen is you will flip over one of these objective cards. Now, you have 5 that are always going to be in every game, and they'll be awarded at the end of the game that for things such as most humans in your belly, most cows in your belly, most sheep in your belly, and such, and so on and so forth. The other cards are going to be first to achieve certain things as they're revealed. So once this card comes out, it's the first person to explore a lake from this stack over here. First person to eat 2 cows. First person to eat 3 sheep. So on and so forth. And they're just going to be random things, and you'll have to try to accomplish that once it's revealed. And they'll give you a number of points at the end of the game if you are the first person to do that. Now, this is also the time tracker in the game, because once this deck runs out, then the game will be over. Now, you don't play with all of these cards. You do shuffle this up and deal out so many of them, and you can change the length of the game by determining how many cards you want in this deck, but that is the first thing that you'll do. The next thing you'll do is you'll repopulate any of these cards that would have any animals on them, such as this card here. You'd put 3 sheep on it, and there are other cards that you would put some human meeples on, some cows, so on and so forth. And that would be the first part of a turn. The next thing would be the player with the first player token would take an action. And so let's come back to the player board here. And again, you kind of going over the different aspects of the player board. You've got your actions that you'll be doing throughout the course of the game right here. This is going to be your belly, which is where you're going to put any sheep, cows, and humans that you eat throughout the course of the game. And you have 3 three different levels of skills that you can try to unlock. You've got your whelp level right here, and this is who you are at the beginning of the game. See, that matches that right there. And then if you want, you can upgrade to a drake, and that would increase your stats a little bit. Also changes your standee character. And if you would do well in the game, you could become a wyrm, which is ultimately what you were trying to do. There's your wyrm standee, because the wyrm is going to have the best stats available to them. And if you were the first person to do so, you get to claim this card right here. So back to the player board, because the first player gets to do an action. So you have 2 dragon cubes here in your player color, and you're going to use those cubes to determine which action or actions you are going to take for this round. Now, most actions are only going to take 1 cube, whereas the raze action will take both of your cubes. And you do get 3 cubes once you upgrade to a drake and wyrm. Now, the different actions in the game. So attacking. And attacking is going to be something that you'll do quite often in this game, whether you are attacking other dragons or if you are attacking the slayers that come out every round that are trying to kill you. You might want to kill them first. So how attacking works, it's very simple. You will get to roll a number of d6s as determined by what level of dragon you are. The first 2 levels, you just roll 2 d6s, but a wyrm gets to roll 3 d6s, dropping the lowest result. Whoever rolls higher is going to win the combat. The loser will have to take a wound. And how wounds work in this game, you will roll 1 d6 and it will go on which number you roll. And so if I rolled a 4, it would go there. And yes, you can take multiple wounds, and that will take multiple healings to have to clear up before you can use that action space again. So that's how attacking works. Eating is very simple. You have to be on a tile that has something for you to eat, and you just take it and you put it in your belly. And that's going to stay there, and you can use it for experience points to upgrade later, which we'll cover at the end here when we talk about free actions on a turn. The search action is going to allow you to move, or excuse me, not move necessarily. You take a tile and you're going to have to place it where there are already 2 tiles adjacent to one another. You're placing the third one adjacent to both of those. And so you would flip it over and I could put it right there because I'm next to it and it's touching 2 tiles that are already on the map. And then later on I can move to that. We're not going to put a card on this just yet though, because that is going to be the explore action. So you can see here there are 3 different tile or cards over here, and whenever you do the explore action, you would flip over the top card for the matching tile there, and it would show us what it is. And in this case, it's a farm with cattle, and so we would put 3 cows on this tile, and that would go there. Now every time you do that, you do get an experience point. Every time you also do the search action, you get an experience cube. Now the experience cubes we'll come back to later, but just know you're going to be spending them to upgrade your skills throughout the game. The 5th action that you might do, which again takes both of your cubes, is the raze action. Now if you are on a card that can be raised, such as this one right here, you can take it, and you will gain a number of gold for having done so, and it will go here on this side of your board that says raised improvements, because there might be an award for whoever has the most, or there is an award, it's right here, yeah, most improvements raised, so you do want to try to keep track of that, and hopefully you win that. Now the gold, I forgot to show you that in the components portion, you keep it right here in this black bag, and it's just these golden little cubes right here. Not really cubes, they're little nuggets, so really cool. So anyhow, that is the raze action, and then the last one is skill. Now, we're going to cover one of the free actions that you can do on your turn, and that is to upgrade and spend your experience cubes to be able to unlock these different abilities. So you can see here that each of these have a 1 on them, so you spend 1 experience to be able to unlock any of these ones down here on this level. Once you upgrade to a drake, it is going to require 4 experience to do so, but now you can unlock these abilities, which will cost 2 experience. experience. But you cannot unlock, let's say, range here until you unlock teleport. So you do have to build up on each of these different columns. And the ones that say passive, those are going to be the things that you always get to have once you've unlocked them. The things that are not marked passive, you are only going to be able to do once you take the skill action. So teleport, for instance, move to any tile except a lake tile without spending movement. You can use skill to be able to let you do that. And speaking of movement, movement is another free action, just moving about the board. The number of spaces that you get to move is determined by what type of dragon you are. 1 for whelp, 2 for drake, 3 for wyrm. And that's that. That's pretty much the gist of the game, because you are going to be going around the board and trying to take out different improvements that are on the board, exploring the land, eating sheep and cattle and humans, and getting gold. Once everybody has taken their actions, then it will be the Slayer's turn in a game. And so the Slayers are represented by 2 different decks here. You've got your basic deck and your epic deck. And you're going to play with so many basic cards on top of the epic cards. So the game's going to start off easy, and then the epic ones are going to come out, and they're going to get really difficult for you to deal with. And so you'll flip over a card here, Army Deserter. And so the Army Deserter will have his own standee, and he will start here in the middle. And the first player of the round will roll the D6, and looking at the nest tile here, we can see a 5, and so it will march off in this direction. And the person with the first player token will take that card, and they'll determine which direction this Army Deserter is going. And so they'll kind of make sure that this guy doesn't come towards them and maybe go attack somebody else and have them deal with it. Although sometimes you may want him to come to you because they are worth gold at the end of the game when you eat them. And so you need to do a combat with them following whatever's listed on the card here. And you want to do enough damage to kill them, otherwise they're going to wound you, going back to how the wounds work. And that's how that would work. And so they'll stay out here on the board till they are defeated. And when you defeat them, you get to eat them, putting a meeple in your belly. And so that's how the Slayers work. And I mentioned that there are basic ones, such as the Gray Wizard here. However, when the Gray Wizard is defeated, the White Wizard comes out instead. And you can see here what those 2 standees look like. Some Lord of the Rings action there. But anyhow, that is that with the Slayers. And you can have multiple Slayers out on the map, and so lots for you to deal with. But ultimately in this game, explore the land, eat some cattle, eat some people, destroy buildings, upgrade from a whelp to a drake to a wyrm, and have the most points at the end of the game. That is how you play Whelps to Wyrms. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Whelps to Wyrms from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So let's talk about real quick the way this game unfolds, the experience that you have with it, because I feel like this is a very thematic game. Everything sort of builds on being a dragon, like what it would be like if you were a dragon. And I think all the mechanics are there to make this a very thematic experience. What do you think, Sam? What was this like for you?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely feel like you're there in the countryside, eating people and sheep and all that stuff.
Right, so. Yeah. And then raising the different villages and establishments and destroying them and eating things into your belly and then using that as experience.
Yeah.
It all sort of makes sense as far as theme-wise go. I feel like it's I don't know if intuitive is the right word, but it's definitely a game that it sort of seems like, okay, I can understand doing this leads to this, which leads to that. And it all sort of flows pretty well together. So I wouldn't say it's an overly complicated game. It does look that it might have that to it when you look at the player boards and you can see that there's all these branching skills that you can level up on. But the mechanics, I feel, are pretty simple. What was it like for you playing this?
Yeah, I think putting it all out there, it's a little overwhelming at first with all the components and the pieces, and it looks like a big game.
Yeah.
But as you play it, it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you're really, I mean, if you understand the basic actions for what you can do on a turn, then you've got 90% of this game figured out. And I think the other 10% is figuring out the different ways you can grow your dragon and the different skills that you can learn. And each dragon is a little bit different, so there is a little bit of asymmetry with this game, but it's not a huge part of this. But it is just enough to make it feel like, I want to try this dragon out. I want to see what this dragon can do. So it's got a nice touch of asymmetry to it. And then you've got the tile laying aspect, not really tiling, but exploration with the tiles. So the board is changing and it's different every time you play it. The peasants, or not the peasants, the warriors, the people who are basically trying to attack you and kill you, those come out different each time as well. And they do different things. So there's a lot of replayability with this game. So I feel like this is one that's going to hit for a lot of people that really enjoy this theme, that enjoy the idea of medieval times and dragons, knights, that sort of thing, but getting to experience it from the other side of a dragon. And a dragon being the protagonist and not so much the antagonist. So overall, it was a really cool experience. I enjoyed the components, the artwork, the look of the game. What else stood out to you, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's a good game. It's hard to answer, is it a good game for non-gamers? I think it's more, is it a good game for somebody interested in this type of theme?
Yeah.
I think it's easy enough for non-gamers to play, but if they're just not interested in this, then it might not be.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I think it is a unique theme and it's going to be something that will really appeal to some people. And then for others, you know, that may not have any interest into this theme, that might not be something that would be their jam. So, but if you do have a leaning towards this type of theme, this type of style of game, I think you're probably going to enjoy it. So that is Whelps To Wyrms. It's from Lamplight Games. And like I said at the top of this video, they are bringing it back to life. So definitely check it out. We've got a link down below in the description of this video. So now that you've watched it, please check that out and leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.